Welcome to the Scottish Cardiac Arrest Symposium 2016. Please welcome to the stage Dr. Gareth Clegg.
Indulging me in my own theme music. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, colleagues, welcome to Scas 2016. Give yourselves a big hand. So on behalf of the Resuscitation Research Group, a very warm welcome to what is going to be a fabulous day. But the first thing I need to do today is to introduce my co-host for the day, Lisa McInnes.
Morning, Gareth.
Morning, Lisa.
You're looking exceptionally smart this morning.
Oh, thank you very much.
Lovely. Look at these.
I try. So, who else is going to be joining us today?
Well, do you know what? These lovely people in Edinburgh, I can hardly see you. But we've actually got 2 satellite sites. So, Edinburgh, can you give a good warm welcome here for Cambuslang through in Glasgow? They're through in the... Woo! Cambuslang. And also, if we clap loud enough, they might just hear us in Aberdeen. So give it up for Aberdeen. Woohoo!
But that's not all, because it's a very special day. We have folk all over the UK and possibly all over the world watching us on a live webcast. So this might be disturbing for some of you, but there are people in parts of the world that you never heard of in their pajamas watching us as we execute today's proceedings. So let's say hello to them too.
Hello.
And for all of you people out there watching on any form of internet live stream, take a selfie right now and tweet it to us, #Scas16, and we'll see your photos after the break later on.
Now, we would ask you to put your phones on silent, so dig them out your pockets and your bags. There's nothing worse than Gareth getting halfway through a bit of a chit-chat and getting somebody's increasingly lovely ringtone coming out. So put them on silent, but don't put them away. So the way in which you can communicate with us today is, obviously we'll be asking questions in Edinburgh, but because we're wanting questions from elsewhere as well, use the hashtag Scas16. And if you're in Edinburgh, ask us a question or make a comment and put E at the start. Cambuslang put C, and Aberdeen put A, and it'll just help us to know where your question's coming from. So keep those phones at the ready.
Brilliant. And just 1 or 2 moments of housekeeping. There are no planned fire alarms today, so if you hear a fire alarm, head out of the back and just identify the guy with SFRS on his badge and follow him. In addition, I just finally wanted to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors today. We have a bunch of sponsors. You'll have already seen their stands. We can't do this and make it free for you to attend without their help, and we really want to continue to do this. So make them feel loved today, please. Go and say hi. Yes, they want to sell stuff, but they're also partnering with us in trying to improve outcomes after cardiac arrest. So go and take some interest in them, and hopefully they'll continue to give us lots of money. Thank you. So at this point, I get to say goodbye to Lisa.
Goodbye.
Temporarily, she is coming back and share with you a few words of introduction. So the theme of this year's Scottish Cardiac Arrest Symposium is Shift Happens. And why Shift Happens? Well, Shift happens because we're in the midst of a change. We're in the midst of moving forward in the way that we deal with out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. So a year ago, Maureen Watt, then Minister for Public Health, launched the Scottish Strategy for Cardiac Arrest at the symposium. And in that moment, Scotland basically said, actually, we're unhappy with the status quo. We will no longer tolerate the way that things happen around here with cardiac arrest. Now, if you haven't read the strategy, firstly, let me say it's a good read. It's worth a download from the internet and a read, but let me summarize it for you in 4 bullet points. And apologies to those who wrote it, Jim, sorry, I'm going to carve it up now. But let me just take you through what I think it says. Firstly, the strategy says, out-of-hospital cardiac arrest is not a rare thing, it's a common thing. And every year in Scotland, we lose far too many people that we care about because of out-of-hospital cardiac arrest, number one. Number two, we're not terribly good at the moment at resuscitating people after cardiac arrest. And that's not because we're incompetent, it's not because we're lazy, it's not because we don't want to, but it's because preserving life after sudden cardiac arrest is difficult. Number three, we know what to do. We know what to do. We need to build a system which will save lives. And we've begun to do that. And in some parts of the country, we're doing that really well. And number four, we've set ourselves some targets. We've said we want to train 500,000 people living in Scotland in bystander CPR. We've said that we want to become a world leader in resuscitating after out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. And we've said we want to save 1,000 lives between now and 2020. And it kind of trips off the tongue now, doesn't it? If you've been anywhere around the strategy, you've heard that phrase so many times, save 1,000 lives in the next 5 years. But what does that actually mean? So just reflect for a moment. There are 340 of you in this room. So that's this many people. Look around you at the people around you. This many people every year for the next 5 years. If you're in Cambuslang, it's this many people as you look around you every year for the next 5 years. If you're in Aberdeen, it's about 5 times the number of people you have in your room, but we love you anyway and thank you for being part of today. It's a big ask. It's a big opportunity. It's the opportunity to be part of something really huge, part of a really important difference, part of saving lives. It's the kind of opportunity, I guess, that most of us thought we were going to have when we signed up to be emergency services workers or healthcare workers or government workers, to make that level of difference. So when you think about it like that, what the strategy does is it offers us an opportunity, an invitation, but also a challenge. So what is the invitation? Well, the invitation is this. We get the chance to be part together of something that's going to make a huge difference. And you might think, well, that doesn't work for me because I'm not a paramedic, or that doesn't work for me because I don't work in an emergency department or an ICU. But the exciting thing about the strategy is that we all get a chance to be part of this. We can help build a system that saves lives in the way that we teach people how to do CPR, in the way that we answer a call from a distressed bystander, in the way that we execute our clinical skills if we work in a critical area, in the way that we allocate the resources that we have control over, the way that we model behavior around cardiac arrest or our attitude to it, the way we inspire others, encourage others, and lead others. So part of the invitation is wherever you are, whatever you do, whatever your job description is, be part of this system that we're trying to build to save lives. Be part of the movement. So what about the challenge? Well, here's the thing. Out-of-hospital cardiac arrest resuscitation is difficult. There aren't many people in this room who don't know that. It's physically difficult, it's emotionally difficult. Often it doesn't work out the way we want it to work. Many of us have had some of our most difficult encounters, clinically and on the end of a phone, around out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. There is a significant challenge here if we want to make a difference. It's a very unforgiving condition, out-of-hospital arrest. It doesn't give you many minutes to get things right. There's no time for, I wasn't ready, I wasn't trained, I wasn't prepared, I wasn't willing. It demands that we make preparations and are ready to go when the situation requires it. So this high invitation and high challenge proposition reminded me of something else. Let me read to you a newspaper article. Many of you will know the story of Ernest Shackleton. And let me finish with his story. Ernest Shackleton's a particular hero of mine. He had a fantastic beard for most of his working life. I can't say the same thing, but I've aspired to that in the past. He was a fantastic leader of men, very inclusive and looked after the people under his charge. But he was also a complete nutcase. So he went to parts of the world where most people would never go, and he did things for lengths of time that most people would never do. And about 100 years ago, almost exactly 100 years ago, he was trying to drum up some interest in his imperial trans-Antarctic expedition. 1914, He had this crazy, audacious idea that they would sail for weeks to South Georgia, they would go on their boat to the South Pole, they would start at one side, they would walk across to the other side. Never been done before. This is just a short time after Scott had had his ass handed to him by Amundsen, who got to the South Pole before him and proved to everybody that actually polar exploration was really, really dangerous. And of course, Shackleton knew this. You're going to be eating penguins. You're going to have bits of your body fall off because of frostbite. You're going to be stuck there for months, if not years. It was going to be really, really difficult. And this is the ad that he allegedly put in the newspaper. Men wanted. You've got to cut him some slack because he was a man of his time, but only men in this case wanted for hazardous journey. Small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition in case of success. Now, who responds to that ad? You wouldn't expect, but actually, commentators said that it was as if the whole of Britain was answering that call. Because we respond to that, don't we? Shackleton's laying out a fantastic challenge, invitation, to do something that had never been done before. But he's very, very clear that it's not going to be easy. Today you're going to hear lots of stories of survivors, of things done really well. We're going to take a sober look at when it doesn't go so well and what some of those challenges are. And my invitation to you today is take the opportunities to get involved. You will be presented with ways that you can hook into what we're doing, that you can be part of this movement to change outcomes after cardiac arrest. Please take those opportunities. And for those of you who already consider yourselves part of what we're doing, and I know many of you do, think about how you can go back to where you have influence and encourage others to join you. So let me finish with this. If Shackleton had been trying to encourage you from the front here, or encourage the people you know from the front, he might have said this on a day like today. Men and women of Scotland wanted for hazardous journey. There's no money in it. It's going to be really difficult. Sometimes really, really difficult, physically and emotionally. If you embark on this path, there will be some dark times. And it might take a while to get where we want to go. In fact, it will take longer than all of us hope it will, and we're going to need some perseverance. But when we get there, we will have built together a system which prevents the unnecessary loss of hundreds of lives across our country every year. And then we will look at each other with the sweet satisfaction of knowing that we were the people who started the movement that changed everything. Ladies and gentlemen, Scas 16 in Edinburgh, in Cambuslang, and in Aberdeen, shift is happening. Will you continue on this journey with us? Thank you.